pearl cultivation, we are promoting it under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, but I think there are pockets, but it needs to go on scale. So these are areas where again alternate livelihoods for women should come up as we move ahead with the scheme and strengthen it by various means with the help of the state governments. So these are the I think the enterprise that is involved while women market fisheries or aquaculture is undisputed. I think there's an organic link between women and their handling of markets. That is why we talk of this ballpark figure of 1.5 crore fisher women. And I think that is something amazing in terms of trajectory of growth, but we need to strengthen it. So end-to-end value chains where the first mile is connected to the last mile via women needs to be strengthened, not just with vending, with kiosks, with cold chain facilities, with the entire value chain, provision of safe fish, even where we are trying to strengthen our micro and small enterprises. I think whether they are individual enterprises or collective enterprises, farmer-producer organizations, women need to be provided that strength, not just by way of subsidy, but institutional support by many other means other than the subsidy regime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Points about KCC, very vital. I'll next request Dr. J.K. Jenna to present his thoughts, please.
Before
very good evening to all of you. Women are considered a very vulnerable section of fisheries sector. I would just like to narrate one small incident. I was describing the fisheries provisions and PMMY-wise provision to my batchmate in Maharashtra. And she then casually commented that, I was talking about cooperatives, their role and how we are trying to strengthen the cooperatives through PMMSY. There is a lot of amount also available. In fact, for FFPUs, 25 lakhs is available to form. So then she casually commented that in Maharashtra, in cooperatives, male are so dominant, they don't allow women to come. So I was really surprised because women in value chain sector, you see, for packaging, for processing, for collecting, and even marketing, women role is like unparalleled. So if half of your workforce is out of the zone and you are not giving them their dues, then the sector can't like go to their actual potential. So I think as policymakers, as implementers, as business society, it's everybody's due and it's everybody's responsibility to create awareness and bring a structure, bring a mechanism, bring empowerment to women so that they can have their own societies like self-help groups, like when it was started initially as Dwakra group, nobody started initially as Dwakra group, nobody thought that they will become such insurmountable force, but that is reality now. So in fishery sector also, slowly I think change can come, and these type of workshop are really important to create that awareness. Thank you for choosing this subject. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good evening, one and all. Madam Devolina, who is the moderator of this panel session, most respected Secretary DOF, Dr. Abhileksh Likhiji, Madam Nitu Prasad, Joint Secretary Marine Fisheries, and panelist of this session. We would not have got a better panelist today. We have Dr. Krishna Srinath, who was the former director of one of the institute, only institute who deals with the women in agriculture, Bhubaneswar. She was the director there. Then we have another personality, Dr. Meryl William. She is the past chair of the Gender in Aquaculture in Fisheries section of Asian Fisheries Society. And we know her more as a former Director General of World Fish. and during that time onwards, she has been giving greater thrust on women work, women in fisheries and all. And we have a young colleague, Dr. Sharika, from CIFT Kochi at Beraval. She is working. And ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be here and sharing our thought. It is too late. Nothing much to say. 2 minutes only I will take. Honorable Secretaries have already mentioned about the importance of this particular aspect when we talk of fisheries development or any agricultural development. We cannot leave gender aside. Not that gender involvement has not been there in this sector. It is there all the time. Probably we have not recognized that. We have not mainstreamed. That is what is the main objective for us to discuss also, where the involvement has been there, whether there has been an issue in any of the sector. If issues are there, how do you resolve? All those aspects we do discuss. We need to provide some sort of a direction or roadmap also to give more focus by the ministry. That is the objective of this session. Friends, we know when we are involved in the fisheries, we have seen whether it is marine fisheries or even the aquaculture. Once the fish is landed in the coast, next job, most of the job is done by women. Any place in the country you go, at least in India, not only in India, any of the South Asian countries you go, starting from collecting, segregating, washing, taking to the market, selling, everything, and cooking at the home. Everything is, next stage is taken by the women, but probably we have not giving that much of focus and recognize that what is that they have been doing. Now, when you talk of aquaculture, it is not that nothing is there, no activity is there. When you are talking of the whole value chain, it is not only after capture, it starts with the pond preparation to farming to every aspects. Involvement has been there. Coming to my involvement in the professional career, my first project in my professional career was a project on gender project, Women in Fisheries in Orissa, which was funded by UNDP, UNIFEM, United Nations Development Fund for Women. That was my first project. So I am aware that nothing that when we started to activity like seed rearing to start with, and we have demonstrated that from A to Z, any activity we talk of, even seed rearing, they are able to do it. And in fisheries, if you talk of fisheries, no activity is so much laborious. Rather, if you talk of agriculture activities, several activities are laborious job, hardworking. But when you talk of aquaculture, it is only a part-time activity. Like you don't need to be there in the pond side from morning to evening. Maybe morning once giving feed, evening once giving feed. But two activity what Secretary Saab has mentioned, probably that is the two areas. One is ornamental, second is pearl culture. Sir, it is my experience also. I did work on pearl culture division for some time. When you talk of surgery, pearl culture major activity is the surgery work. In a day, you can do maximum about 50 to 60 implantation. That's all. Even 6 to 8 hours. More than that, you cannot do implantation. So it is 100% attention is necessary when you do surgery. So what we have seen is girls or ladies, they have more concentration than the boys. And all the time we have seen. So even our research scholar, all our research scholars were girls. So we have seen they were able to demonstrate better than the boys. So probably these are the two activities. Ornamental is another area where you need more attention, more care. When the ladies are able to take care of the family, whole family, you can expect also they will be taking good care of the ornamental, which needs more attention. Another activity probably Dr. Sarika would mention, the post-harvest value addition, sir. At homestead level, the pickle making, whether fish pickle, prawn pickle, or XYZ pickle, or small, or even the drying or smoking and all, probably some of the activities we find they are better equipped than the men. So I'm sure all will be deliberated during this panel discussion and expert presentation. 3 expert presentation followed by the panel discussion. They will be discussing in depth, and I'm sure we should be able to give time to listen to them. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dr. Merrill is connected online. If it is late, can we start with Merrill?
Yes, we will start with Merrill.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Without any further delay, we'll start with the lead presentations. First to go is Dr. Merrill Williams. She is the past chair, Gender in Aquaculture and Fisheries Section, Asian Fisheries Society. Over to you, Dr. Merrill.
Dr. Merrill, are you able to hear?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Go ahead, Dr. Merrill.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to take this conference. I'm very sorry that I can't be there in person due to a number of other commitments. I wanted to share some of my latest thinking about women in fisheries and aquaculture. As many of you know, I've had quite a long career in mainstream fisheries and aquaculture research and conservation, but I became seriously interested in women in fisheries about 30 years ago, when my colleague, the late Dr. M.C. Mandisha, invited me to deliver an address at the Phnom Penh conference in Cambodia on women in fisheries in the Indochina region. This event started my long journey, along with many friends and colleagues, many particularly from India, on learning about women's work in the fish sector. We've already had some excellent examples from the Secretary and Dr. Jenna this evening, about women's roles and how they're come to recognise. My journey has come to the stage where at the moment I'm co-authoring a book on the political economy of women in fisheries. And so I want to talk just a few minutes about what drives women's involvement in the fish value chain. As those older ones here would know, after World War II, our societies all around the world made really quite considerable progress in improving women's education, their longevity and their health. But in the general economy, in employment, political leadership and in environmental and climate change action, very little attention was given to women's status, their opportunities and their needs. In the fish sectors, women's progress was actually among the most disappointing, despite the moving industries themselves. But growth in production and competition seemed to override all the social considerations in the sectors. To explain this mismatch between the economic progress of fisheries and the outcomes for women, quite a lot of gendered fisheries studies have been done, and they tended to use or to challenge some of the common explanations for why women are where they are, such as women are invisible, women don't fish, technology is for men, the gender division of labour simply reflects social norms, and also women have no decision-making power. Now, to try and get some deeper explanation of what we're seeing, I've been examining 5 political economy drivers. And the drivers are the labour opportunities for women, technology, capital accumulation, governance and crisis. I'm using these 5 areas to try and better understand what has happened given to apply their labour in fisheries drives what they actually do. Now, 90% of the latest global estimate is that 90% of the women who work in fisheries all along the value chain do so in a small-scale fishery. And by order of numbers, as the Secretary has rightfully pointed out, women are first and foremost are actually fish traders. They're often recognised as more being fish processors, and they do a lot of that as well. But actually the numbers show that more women trade fish even than those who process them, and also quite a few women do fish. The fish sector, however, most of us recognise, has a strong gender division of labour, and women often receive lower pay for their work than the men do. Because they both work in lower paid types of jobs in that gender division of labour, but even if they're doing the same work or very similar work to men, they're often paid less for the same work. The data on women's labour, however, is very poor, and it's only improving slowly. It's even worse, the data are even worse in aquaculture than fisheries. Fisheries agencies tend to be mainly responsible for harvesting operations, the fishing and fish farming, and much of the data collected on labour is on those parts of the value chain, not all the other parts. So labour in pre- and post-harvesting segments of the value chain is quite poorly tracked, and it has to be gathered from household surveys, censuses, and other information, which is not quite so purpose-built for fisheries purposes. Now, another big gap in the data is that the data on women's reproductive work in supporting their families and their communities and so on is not collected at all. But without this type of labour, most of which, or the majority of which is done by women, these sectors would not be able to operate at all. So labour is a very major issue and needs a lot more attention given. Technology is the next critical area. Technology has driven fisheries and agriculture growth, and it affects where women work and what they do. Just look at the impact over the last decade, the mechanisation and motorisation of fishing, and the increasing biological information and manufacturing technology in agriculture. Technology affects all the work that's done, who does it, and the markets and the products that are reached. Fish sector technology operates in quite complex ways. We're really talking not just about technology as a single thing, but about socio-technical systems. People and the technology in these systems interact and shape each other. The socio-technology systems affect the gender divisions of labour, such as women who may be fishing with simple inshore nets and tools, trading fish from simple local market stores with minimal facilities, or working on industrial processing lines. Men are more inclined to be working on mechanised vessels with hydraulically hauled nets, and leaving their catches in ports and harbours. Shrimp and shrimp farms have grown and become more technologically complex and capitalised. Fewer and fewer women actually work in them. So socio-technological systems embody power, politics, and transition that is always changing. And therefore gender researchers should be taking much more notice of the impact of these technology systems on what the women do and how they're involved in the value chain. As the Secretary has already mentioned, capital accumulation and women's access to the means of capital accumulation is another important driver of their involvement in the value chain. The extent to which women can accumulate capital depends on how they access the value of the fish they access and their personal agency in being able to do so. Their involvements are very different depending on whether they are worker in a processing plant, a senior government fisheries officer, an nature or whether they're taking mangroves on a conservation project. And incidentally, women do most of the mangrove mapping work in many countries. In many cases, women will be operating smaller scale businesses than men, earning less per hour worked, unable to attract business investment and increase the size of their business, and unable to obtain insurance against ill health and calamities. A few well-connected, well-educated women will thrive despite their gender, but even these may be constrained by institutional cultures or family responsibility. Women may also be constrained by the fourth driver, let's talk about governance and institutions. Fisheries and agriculture policy, as has already been said, is often gender blind, and its implementation consequently requires together including properly the needs of women, where hierarchies and leadership are based on elite power. Educated women may shine as ministers, directors general, or committee chairs, and occasionally CEOs in the private sector. But often the prominence of elite women hides the weak voice in government of women at the base of the pyramid of labour. Powerful industry lobbyists, and sometimes small-scale fisheries lobbyists as well, tend to be well represented in policy making and management, but women's interests are only starting to have a role, such as in Africa, AW Fish represents African women fish processors and traders. So if we have access to decision making, it's no surprise that our last driver of women's involvement, crises, may further weaken their involvement. Now, whether crises are caused by cyclones, tsunamis, epidemic or climate change, a crisis will always impact women even more than men. Crisis impacts can also accumulate unless gender transformative change can be achieved within society. Finally, these five political economy drivers tend to reinforce each other. This means if all crises strike gender transformative approaches are needed, these approaches will scrutinise, confront and transform the underlying causes of gender inequality, which tend to be entrenched in our social institutions. So they can be overcome, and I know we'll see talks that come forward. We're going to see a lot of good examples of how they are being overcome. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share some of my thoughts.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time and those valuable words. When I looked up her website, Gender Aquafish, there's this very powerful slogan that I found. It says, "Women do fish, to women do participate and lead." So thank you for those valuable words of wisdom again. And we move over to Dr. Krishna Srinath. And we have a presentation.
Very good evening to all dignitaries, Secretary Fisheries, Sri Abhilash Dikhi, Dr. Jena, DDG Fisheries ICAR, and we were together for a long time in various industries. He was a student when I was joined as a scientist in CMFR, and other dignitaries on the dais and members of the distinguished delegates. First of all, let me thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk on this very important subject. As long as Dr. Jana was telling about his first fisheries project, similar experience I have. Before that, taking the point from the introductory remarks, there was some observation on data. Availability of data related to maybe gender disaggregated data on fisheries. In the marine sector, it may be possible because you can trace the fisherman household entire coast throughout the coast. And CMFRA has done the census of marine fisheries census, and this kind of data will be available with them. Only thing is that disaggregation has to be done. But when you consider the inland fisheries, the story is different because it is highly unorganized. You cannot trace an aquaculture farmer in a village because there are two situations. There are small ponds, there are bigger ponds. If you take, the Padasagaram concept of Kerala, where paddy cum prawn culture, one season is paddy, one season is prawn. In that case, the farms are in distant places. Household is somewhere, the farm is somewhere else. So there also collecting a proper data is very difficult as far as women's participation is concerned. So we have to really think of how to address this problem. I have also another experience at the Central Institute of Women in Agriculture as the director. We had an All India coordinated research project on home science. One of the objectives was, one of the technical program was to develop a gender disaggregated data for agriculture. We covered 40 agroclimatic zones and 10,000 families and collected data, and that database is available in that institute's website to some extent. Preliminary analysis were done and the data are presented. So this was done by the All India Coordinated Research Project on Home Science. They also, work mainly for women in agriculture. Now that project is called All India Coordinated Research Project on Women in Agriculture. It used to be earlier Home Science. Now it is changed as Women in Agriculture. So they are also deeply involved into this kind of activities. Now coming to my experience in fisheries, I joined as an ARS scientist. My first posting was in Coimbatore, sugarcane. Then immediately after the marriage, my husband was also an ARS scientist in statistics. So I got a transfer to CMFRI, Cochin. So 1980, my research project, first research project I took was role of women on marine fisheries, small-scale fisheries. That was my research project, and we have done a survey of 1,000 households, and to develop a database on that. These are available, scattered in various publications. So I cannot present it as a one, because those days this computer technology was not there. Computer was not available for scientists. Maybe for the entire institute, one computer, and the statistician used to work on that. So later only all these kind of, you have computer, internet, Google, all those things came. We had a very hard time searching because when I joined, I was the first social scientist with a discipline of extension to join the institute. So there was nobody, previously not much literature was available, not accessible because there is no Google or any such thing. So we had to virtually travel to agricultural fisheries universities or fisheries faculties, various institutes, go and interact with the scientists, find out how to go about, how to collect data and all. That was a different story. Now things have progressed. Now developing a database has become very easy. That's what I am trying to tell. Only collection of data at the field. We have to devise mechanisms for, particularly in the unorganized sector in fisheries. Then 18 years I was in CMFRI. 10 years I was heading the Extension Division of Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. Then later I had joined as a multidisciplinary institute on women in agriculture. So these two institutes have presented lot of opportunities for women. You name anything in the value chain, there is a slot for women. There is an opportunity for women which they can really make use of. And we are hearing in the previous session, we have heard lot of success stories. Entrepreneurs speaking about their success. But field level entrepreneur who has gone to a small community, fisherman community, we could not find much entrepreneurs here or talking to us about their success stories. I could see one or two stalls here displaying, success stories of women. CIFT had displayed, and CMFRI also has through their charts and all that, their work with women in fisheries. So these things, these are sporadic. Women are participating because again, the dynamics of fishing operations have changed. When we were there, when I was started my research only, this 2 persons operated canoe, 5-person operated canoe, it's all artisanal sector, not even mechanization was there. Motorization was not there. Then afterwards the motorization picked up. So the individual fishermen joined in groups and they used to go for fishing and the fish used to land in the respective villages in an appropriate place and women had role there. Immediately women used to, as our Honorable Secretary was mentioning, women used to take over the entire post-harvesting like, sorting, peeling, all drying and all kind of activities and homestead preservation mainly. Those things, this technology for pickling and other preservation has not developed much. Or we have not transferred, ICAR also did not have much mechanism to transfer it in a large scale. Because the technology transfer extension division also came little bit later, only basic division. So there was no scientific personnel to do the technology transfer job at community level. So technologies were there. Then, so later the motorization came and after that it went into, it graduated into mechanization. Small scale mechanized sector came. Then when the small scale sector came, mechanization happened, fish used to land in the fisheries harbors. So women lost their access to this kind of previous activity, her husband going and fishing and she is handling the catch. This kind of scenario slowly faded. And women, of course, they had a role, but those were living in and around the fisheries harbors, they benefited most. Now you see in the fisheries harbor what is happening. The cold chain starts from the vessel itself, the trawler or whatever vessel. The cold chain starts from there. It is directly going to the cold van. It is going to the processing industry. So where women are there. Women are not very conspicuously, they are there to collect the so-called trash or low-value fish which is not required by the industry. They handle those kind of things for their day-to-day vending or small-scale drying or whatever sort of reservation. When this industry, again, so that is another sector of people have taken over women. For example, if you take Gujarat here, there are a lot of peeling sheds. I had conducted a study there. Peeling sheds were there. Only Kerala girls used to come and work here. Entire peeling activities all along the coast, Kerala girls were dominating to some extent Tamil Nadu also. Mangalore, Tamil Nadu, that coast. Now later, having seen them, flourishing because they earn money, they have a lot of independence, they can take decisions regarding their income and things like local women also thought, okay, we should also go into such kind of activity. Now this has changed, from the pure marine fishermen households or their activity, it has gone to it. That opportunities have shifted to other hands, people from other sectors also. So this is how, so it is very difficult to trace this kind of thing unless we have a very committed team to find out and conduct studies on that. Large number of technologies are available, but then success is, what the story we hear, they are all sporadic. Not that large number of people have to do. Today morning, inaugural session, the presentations were wonderful, those documentaries. So much of schemes, so much of facilities, so much of opportunities. But who is using it? Why they are not using it? This is a big challenge. Now I would like to open one of my slides. Next, I had a chart, Next. एक chart, diagram था ना, एक chart, circle. See, Honorable Secretary was also talking about the household responsibilities of women, what they are doing. They have to combine both, after the fish comes home, they have to handle those kind of activity. Now those things are, now fish coming and processing, homestead processing, I do not know to what extent it is going on. It may be in some limited pockets. Here, how the woman's time is, spend on various activities. This is an activity clock of a farm woman. So see household activities she has to do, collection of fuel and water. That is still, of course, there are schemes for reaching water supply to each and every household, but still I think there is some time it will take to complete. Then cooking, child care and animal care in one box. Like similar time allocation. Why? Because they think that it is equally important to give care to the animal as well as they are spending time with their children. It is very, very important. They cannot neglect because they are going to present the future generation to the country. That we have to really take care. Then leisure and SSG activities. Of course, there are SSGs are very prevalent, very prominent in all these places. I had the opportunity to form one of the pioneering work in formation of SSG for utilization of fisheries technologies. And through that, that was an action research where I conceptualized the theme of empowerment and then implemented through action research. So these SSGs are very useful instruments nowadays to, instead of approaching single individual women for this post-harvest entrepreneurship development and all that, a group work will really help there if we can form. Because I have another experience in aquaculture. I handled a project on group farming for aquaculture. Group farming in aquaculture, where women also, we could actively make them participate in all training programs, participate in all activities concerning the farm. It was 100 farmers and 50 acres. It was a very laborious, hard task. But then, this model we could show that this kind of group activity will really help in mainstreaming women in aquaculture. This is a very important area. Then, sleep and all that, they get hardly, overnight, any given morning, 4 o'clock, their activity starts. If the man of the house is going for fishing, nowadays it is voyage fishing and all that, he never comes home. He comes home after a week or even after a month. Who will look after the household? Children are there, their education is there, so many things are there. So when we are talking about transferring technology to women, we have to see in what is their background, in what condition they are living, and how we can integrate the technology by scaling it down to suit their economic condition, whatever financial support the government will give, and also suit their time. Of course, time they cannot completely come out and see. I had one. I don't know if I am taking time, Dr. Jenna. Yeah, I have to briefly tell. So this is the kind of scenario which is available in the fisheries sector. So technology is very important. But then, actually the focus on women in agriculture and different areas came with the advent of International Decade for Women in 1980s. That has followed in a large number of research studies have also undergone, and large number of extension activities, ICAR institutes, Krishi Vijnana Kendras now numbering about 750. All these institutions have been actively engaged in technology transfer activity, but these are all localized, very limited. We cannot, as a research institute, it will not be possible. So there was we tried a hand-holding exercise with this State Department of Fisheries. They had the special component plan program for CST and all that. We took advantage of those schemes and then linked it directly with the fisher community and demonstrated all technologies developed, aquaculture technologies developed in CMFRI. Now we have the example of mussel culture, oyster and other bivalve culture, pearl culture could not be demonstrated. So these are some of the experiences I thought I would share instead of making a precedent what should be done and what should not be done. Because now the gender is, I don't think it is no longer an issue like that, women are educated, they are coming up, they know the situation, they are very, very much aware of the situation in which they are living. So it is for us to take stock of their conditions. Don't think that they are always, neglected. Those conditions are not there. Now the countries, if you go to the village side and all, they are very well developed. In farming, agriculture farming, women are taking the lead role in organizing various activities. So that kind of this changing role, how to integrate our technology and increase the participation of women so that they are visible and they get the share in the benefit of the whole activity, which will contribute to the national development. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for those positive words. You told me earlier today that you didn't want to discuss issues, so thank you for all of that. We'll take a slight deviation to the program. Unfortunately, Dr. Murugan from AquaConnect was supposed to present later on, but he has a flight to catch. Dr. Murugan, if you just can quickly take 5 minutes, talk about your work, and then I'll hand it over to Madam Sarika to present.
Good evening, all. Thank you for this adjustment. This is Murugan Chidambaram. Again, I'm from AquaConnect. We are working from Chennai. The topic which given to me is international numbers and national numbers in terms of agricultural participation in women, as well as what we are doing in AquaConnect to increase these numbers overall. So what we observed is 50% of the women population contributing in world aquaculture. If we are taking in Indian number, it is 5.4 million working in fishery and allied sectors. Almost 1.6 million are women, right? There are certain challenges like equal, you already spoke, so I'm not going into that. So as part of AquaConnect, what we are doing, we are, as Madam clearly told, we are bringing data to table to take a decisions. These decisions are taken by women employees majorly. So if I'm talking about my numbers within AquaConnect, as a startup ecosystem, like 150 member team, almost 40% of the corporate team members are taking decisions for the ground and for my aqua partners and farmers. To put it in very simple and clear, we are enabling women employees to take decisions from the data, which is coming from satellite as well as from the ground team who is running on the field day-to-day basis. Thank you so much. I'm not taking much of time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. We'll move quickly to Dr. Sarika. Dr. Sarika has a presentation.
So respected Chair, Dr. Janasa, Secretary, Joint Secretary, then eminent speakers, panelists, moderators, and distinguished guests. A very good evening to one and all present here. I'm Dr. Sarika. I'm scientist working in Fish Processing Division of CIFT. So today, the theme is like role of women in the fisheries value chain. Excuse me, ma'am. So the theme is already talked up, like eminent speakers like Krishna Madam, Merli Madam and all have talked about the importance of women in the fisheries value chain and all. So always when we talk like women in fisheries, women always remains as silent. They support and sustain the fisher communities and safeguard our ocean. And actually, when we see their role in the value chain, right from the harvest to post-harvest, processing, marketing, it spans all the areas from every stages of value chain. And now we are celebrating this National Fisheries Day and all. Actually, today we should embark their contribution into the fisheries, and also we should amplify their voices through the empowerment and livelihood opportunities. So today I'll not be discussing on this importance of value chains or how women are involved and all. But as an R&D institute, we are working closely with the women group, and basically we collaborate with the small SHGD groups, and through some of the I will show some of the case studies where how we can work together with the women group, and some, as madam was telling, in the field level there will be many difficulties they are facing. We have many programs, we have many inventions or interventions in the post-harvest sector and all, but the adoption is one problem, and women are facing different problems, like madam was telling, they have to hold the other household activities and other things and all. So, and sometimes we have many technologies, but the problem is that we need to customize according to their needs, local areas, and their specific needs and all. So some of the case studies I will be just briefly showing how we can work together with this group, Fisher Women Group, and how it has empowered their lives. So next slide. Next, we can skip on this. And one thing is that harvesting sector, when we see that women roles are mostly seen in the post-harvest side, as we are telling, like processing areas, women are more seen, like from right from the landing centers, sorting, grading, then peeling, all those activities are women are mostly carried out. And one scene that most of us are seen, like women will be seen in the marketing side, that too, that retail marketing. So, and also the women in harvesting side, the women are actually not seen going on board, like for the fishing and all, but other type of activities like oysters, clams, snail, these collections in the shallow waters, seaweed farming or seed farming, all those activities are carried out. So, and they use small gears like scoop net, traps, all those things. So next slide. So we thought that we need to customize according to their requirements. So some of the work has been done in the harvesting sectors, like trap designing and training for the women, so that they can also, this is a photographs we have worked in the Gujarat state only. So some trap fabrication works has been, women has taken up, and they are doing very good. And through these R&D institutes like us, we can give continuous training how to do the net mending, fabrication, all those things. So next slide. Yes. Oh, 1 minute. Next slide. Yes. As I told, the women are mostly involved in the post-harvest activities like marketing and all. Problem is that initially, means like earlier, this thing, traditional and all landing centers will be near to there where they are living and all. So they can come there and do some of the activities. Now when it is like organized structures like harbors and all, they are restricted to come inside, and their home will be little far away from those organized sectors and all. So women are less interested in auctioning or wholesaling other activities. So mostly they focused. And another problem is that they will be focusing only on the retailing market, so that they can handle a very less quantity of the fish. And when another problem is that when doing this wholesaling, they have to handle not only the large quantity of fish, but financing also, because fishing activity is also depending on those financing activities, so that men are mostly involved. So they are mostly restricted to the retail marketing. Next slide, please. And they often faces the problems, because most of us have seen in the normal retail markets how unhygienically they have handled the fish and fish. They actually, there is lack of many facilities there, and women are using less money for bringing any of the materials for keeping the quality and all. So we are also observing that many quality issues they are facing, and the quality is degrading and they are losing the value and all. So the refrigerated kiosk, actually it is a good thing that for the fisherwoman, because they can keep the fish in a very high level, and they can earn money out of that. It's not the big thing. In between 50,000 to 60,000, they can take up the thing, and hygienically they can present the fish to the consumers. Next slide. And we thought of giving training to the fisherwomen as an initial basis. Some of the SSG groups were selected, and we have given training how to do the fish storage in not only in the refrigerated kiosk, or with the help of insulated boxes also they can store the fishes, and keeping and quality can be increased. And not only that, how hygienically the fish has to be handled right from they get the fish, how much ice has to be used, wherever the cold chain has to be kept, they have to do and wash the things, potable water facilities, all those things we have instructed them to do, and they are doing well also. And many groups in not only in Kerala or Andhra Pradesh, many other places we are supplying, or we supplied this type of refrigerated kiosk, and so many groups are doing well also. Next slide. These are some of the photographs they are showing with the self-help groups, how we have given the training to them. And in some places we are already near to that of landing centers and harbors, we have installed these type of facilities so that they can earn a better income from this source. Next slide. No, sir. No, sir. No.
No, sir. There are startups who are using PCM for refrigerations. Yeah.
But in fisheries sector, I think it's still not common.
But it has been widely used and adopted in small scale value chain PCM materials. It's very easy to really relocate from one place to another. It's very portable.
An instrument or
Yes. And when coming to the processing and value addition sector, as we know that not only this landing center or the fish marketing sector, women are mostly into this peeling, curing, and other seafood export. When we see the exporting company, you can see almost all the pre-processing activities like sorting, grading, peeling, all those activities are carried out by the women group only. And Madam was telling earlier in the Gujarat also, mostly from Kerala or Tamil Nadu region, women are come here, they earned money. But nowadays the scenario has totally changed. We couldn't find any people from the southern part, mostly from northeastern part also they are coming and working there. And now they are earning also, and their livelihood has also changed. So export... Okay. So next slide. So next slide. So some of the case study I will be just rushing into how we have worked through. Next slide. So this is one study, community-based entrepreneurship development was done in the Chellalam region. Chellalam is actually a fisheries village. Next slide. Next slide. So you can see how the fishing has influenced the people there. Actually, the ring seine operation was conducted, and they are getting the small pelagic fishes only. So the problem is that their women and families are mostly dependent on this type of small pelagic. But the problem is the quality deterioration and the high value. It's not a high value fish. So women are going mostly for this type of processing of these small pelagics. Next slide, please. So this is with the help of the cooperative society. The clusters were formed. Next slide. And through the project, it was like a setting up of a pre-processing facility for that. And initially, with the help of the World Bank funded project, we have conducted many trainings there. And initially, as Madam was telling, initially all were interested, like more than 100 people came together. But after they realized the many risks in these things, slowly people are moved out and all. But finally, with the 3 clusters, we started. Next slide. So the pre-processing facility was also set up. The continuous classes were given. Then capacity building programs were conducted, and then in market linkages were also conducted. Next slide. And every internal, even the internal arrangement for the operation, management of the record keeping, all those things were also provided. But slowly, once they started, issues started coming up, group issues, operational issues, many issues have come out, and they were actually like in a stagnant mode of their business. Next slide. But they were doing actually very good. They were hygienically processing and doing all the activities. But again, the other problems, other issues came, like a sea erosion came in those areas. Then COVID also took many setbacks to their lives. So again, they thought of re-engaging in with the different other projects like value-added product development. Because the small pelagic assets values are very less. So better to go for the drying practice. Next slide. So initially they were doing the drying practices on the net and all, but they are getting good markets and all, but only thing they are not hygienically doing. Next slide. So we worked together with them. These are their challenges and needs, because they were telling like 3 days it is taking, right from they are taking the fish, cleaning, then sun drying only they are practicing. And in these 3 days, sometimes quality issues are coming and they are losing the values and all. And it's a drudgery work, like they have to stand or sit for a longer time to do the pre-processing activities and all. So next slide. So we worked with them. And some type of foldable drying racks were constructed. So this we hand over to those people. Actually, this will be like even in the rainy season, they can easily took out from the outside, and easily they can stand and do the drying. And in addition to that, dryer was also supplied. Dryer was not only was in the like a solar gasifier hybrid dryers, so that even without electricity also they can do the drying practice. So many, as I told, like many technologies are there, but need-based customization is required. So like that, many other technologies we have done, but in short of time, I'm winding up. Actually, this is also, in Rushli I will be telling, like Perimbalam village is also that actually clam fishery, it is mostly dependent on clam fisheries, and there actually women are doing the shucking activities. Shucking of the meat is actually a tedious process and all. You can just change over the slides. This is a traditional practice of shucking, then removing the meat and shell, like a sieve type things are there. Change, quickly change. Change the slides. From the photographs itself, you can understand. You just continuously change and see. So marketing was also an problem for them. They are not hygienically presenting. So with the DST funded project, actually this is the first technology as standardized, right from the catch, how we have to do the pre-processing activity, boiling, then full depuration unit was there, then this is a boiling chamber, then how meat and shell should be separated, and how hygienically we can separate the meat from the shell. So full technology has been standardized. We worked together with them, and product diversification also we have done, and many capacity building training programs were conducted. And this is a facility we have hand over to the self-help group there. Change. So this is in full line now. So this is actually a successful model, even we can replicate in any other part of the country. Change. So, like that, FPO creation was also there in Gujarat areas. We were continuously working for, as DDG sir was telling, like product preparation were continuously we have given to the women group. And, okay. Now they formed the FPO, and even today they have put the stall in here, and you can visit the stall and all, and they are successfully doing the business. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we talked about contextual application of technology. We talked about importance of data measurement. That concludes our lead presentation. We will move on to the panel quickly. We have 5 panelists. I would request Nilkant Mishra from Jal Jivika, Mr. Tanmay Seth, Aqua Agri, Mrs. Lali Saini from Bioruptis, and Mrs. Shobhana already joining us online. Speakers, please come up to the stage. Yeah, so I think one of them had to leave. So we'll quickly start. All right, so I'm going to pass on the mic to all of you to quickly talk a little bit about yourself and then quickly talk a little bit about your work. We'll keep it short, and then we have few questions for the panelists. One of them is joining us virtually, so I'll start with Mrs. Lali.
My name is Lali, and I'm heading an all-women startup by the name of Bioruptis. I'm working on black soldier fly, mass rearing of black soldier fly larva to replace the conventional proteins, introducing insect meal. So this is an answer to our desperate-looking feed industry, which is looking for a more alternative and a sustainable protein source. So I've been working on this line from past 2 years, and though this industry is at a very nascent stage and a lot of research work is required, but this industry holds a very promising future. As we all are well aware, waste benefication is a burning issue for all of us, and this project, it adds value chain to by this introduction of insect meal. So this is my startup, and I'm looking at a space wherein our department, the government, they are there to help this nascent industry at a nascent stage, help in kind of acting as a catalyst in innovation by helping it to kind of take a help from educational institute as well as research institutes. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nilkant. I am founder of Jal Jivika. Jal Jivika is a social enterprise, and we work with the theme of fishery-related community across India. So I will share one story. It's a very practical story, what we do. We were working on the cage fishery work when Andhra Pradesh government has started cage fishery in 2016-17 in 5-6 big reservoir, and tilapia was the first time trial department was doing, and we were building the capacity of local cooperative members. So the story goes to Vijayanagaram. In that big reservoir, the cage got installed, seed got stocked there, and then the local women, those who were selling fishes every day in the market, they become like very friendly to our team, and we started making like a SHG of those women group members. And there was a small pond inside those near the reservoir. We trained those women to make those pond as a seed rearing unit, and then stock those seed to the reservoir. Everything went well, and then some of the cages were given on lease by the cooperative member to the women, and then the story shifts. So one night during this Diwali itself, all the fishes was died in one night. Next day when we went, we found one of the cooperative member who was under the alcohol thing, and then he put the poison. Why these cases was given to the woman? Everything went. So entire investment is gone in one day, and it was the government money. So the department officer was not going to put seed next day. This is a scheme. Once it is gone, gone. So again we mobilized some resources from different philanthropy. They tried again, and again it was poisoned by some other group. So within 2 years, 4 times poisoning. Not only in cages, but also in the pond where they were doing the seed farming. And they didn't stop. And after 4 years, I remember, say, in 2018, I don't remember whether that time you were in SIFA or you shifted to NBGFR. SIFA has, and they started working so well after 4 years. Their group became the vendor group. They became so resilient. They started selling live fish. So many things they started doing to make their living well. That SHG was rewarded by SIFA as a best women SHG in the India. 2018 on this same day, World Fishery Day. So it takes a lot of time to bring a women group out of the box, and that is what we do. So like when we started SHG groups based in Gadchiroli, which is a Naxal affected area, 2014, hardly 4 SHG group members was ready to do fishery. And now in Maharashtra Livelihood Mission, more than 4,000 women group are doing fishery. They were given from the Prime Minister Matsya Sampada Yojana, cold storage, boxes, ice, feed mill, everything. So it takes time, but yeah, it happens. The resilience and continuation is one thing. Second thing, few data Devlina has shared very nicely, like, and sir also, Lekhi sir also, you presented 1.45 crore roughly women in the fishery, in labor forces. But we are in the decision making. If we go to that number, it will go less than 1%. And let's go to, again, the sun-rising sector, marine. In this merchant navy, globally, less than 1% women's contribution on the dock. So we started, recently, sir, we have started a Chakra Fellowship program in India, where we are building those girls from the 10th standard, 12th standard, building their capacity to take up the merchant navy courses, preparing them. And then it is a CSR, industry, the academics, institution like TS Sanjay, we are working with all those agencies to bring more and more girls to the merchant navy sector. And similarly, like even in this fishery graduation course, we have a aqua fellowship program where we bring young girls and give them not only, because already college has given them all the technology, CIFT and all institute has given, but where is the social consciousness? Like how to do community meeting, how to address this group dynamics. Those are the soft part, how to develop the DPR for the existing group. So all those things we train them, and we are also starting few scholarship for the girls who are from tribals, from SC/ST, from poor community who are joining the fishery courses in India. So thank you, sir. That is what we contribute.
Very good evening, sir. Joint Secretary, sir, Joint Secretary, sir, DDG, sir, and thank you, Devlina, for giving the opportunity. Aqua Agri was established in 2008 with a singular goal to promote seaweed cultivation in India and create livelihoods for coastal communities. We are born out of a CSR project, and I think on today's topic, we are very proud that 75% of our workforce, including cultivation and processing, comprises of women. And we believe this activity has the scope to at least give employment to 100,000 people in India. And we currently transform the seaweed into value-added products for agriculture, which are also playing a role in climate change, for food processing, and for animal health supplements. The activity is already proven viability and only needs scalability. And I think after 3 years ago, it was recognized as an important subject by the Department of Fisheries. Today, we still struggle with some issues with Ministry of Environment, and we hope we are able to resolve them soon, and we can put India on the global seaweed map. You said keep it short. I'll just highlight one point, sir, which is very, very important for our sector, that there's 35 million tons being grown globally now, and 97% of that is through aquaculture, and it is based out of only 8 species. And in India, we have one of those species called Kappa ficus. While we work and do research on indigenous species, it's very important to recognize we need to grow for what a market exists. So it would be our request and emphasis to the government that you help us mobilize those 3 species for our growers, and the market is there, and there would be no problem of offtake, sir. The only support needed is to bring those cultivars, do the environment studies that are necessary as per protocol, and open them up for cultivators so that really 100,000 jobs are created. Thanks.
Hi, Shabana. Thank you for waiting. We'll go over to you next. If you can quickly talk about yourself and your work. Thank you.
Firstly, thank you for this wonderful opportunity provided. Myself, Shobana Shankar, founder of Finna. Basically, we are an oceanography deep tech company, providing solutions to the industry, coast guard, and also for the ocean researchers. After the successful 6 years of research, we found a deep solution that will definitely save the life. And also, like, we are just creating a kind of two-way communication between the two. And similarly, we are providing a kind of ocean-sensitive traffic data that are especially useful for the researchers. So this is what we are doing right now. Okay, so this is all about it.
Thank you, Shabana. So my next question, Lali, I will start with you. I went through your LinkedIn profile. I think from what I see there is that you've been working in gender equity for some time now, and this is not your first venture. I hear from you that your current startup comprises all women, if I'm not wrong. So if you can just talk a little bit about, since you have kind of cross-cut various different sectors and now you're into the fishery sector, what do you really see as, if you can draw comparison, and where do you see are the burning challenges for the women in fisheries and what can be done? And given the fact that you have decided to run a company with all women team, is there any thought process that has gone, or was it just arbitrarily planned but planned in the best way? Thank you.
Thank you for asking me this question. I think the gender disparity is in every sector, public or private. We can talk about it and we can spend a whole day talking about it. But to come to the point, I would say the life of an entrepreneur is full of challenges. And more so if you are a women entrepreneur. And furthermore so if you are a women entrepreneur and you're working on an innovation. So I will just speak few lines just about from my personal experience. I'm from a state called Punjab, and the work I'm into, the state totally depends on its feed and seed on the coastal states. So for my work, I've been traveling a lot to the various research institutes going down south. So out of my experience, I really feel and I really wish how we can help is that if the research institutes and the universities, they can act as a catalyst for these women entrepreneurs, and they can provide a supportive ecosystem that can address the issues like finance or regulatory or skill-related workshops in a supportive manner. I think that can solve a lot of very problems, and this can be possible if there is an intervention from the upper end. And another thing which I experienced, I would like to say, is while traveling. Now this is a very small thing, but it is a big one when a lady talks about it. When you are traveling all the way far, you totally have commitments back home. You leave them aside. You want to attend your work. You're traveling all the way, and furthermore, in your travel sometimes there are delays. The flight's getting delayed or something or the other, and you reach the place. You reach the institutes. the kind of accommodation you feel you get. I think presently my humble request is that the places has to be more gender sensitive. So that definitely helps, because I remember visiting an institute and checking in at 9:30 in the night, and I had to go back to the city to find a place for my accommodation, because the kind of the guest house facilities were definitely not gender sensitive. So that's one thing I would like to highlight here. Thank you so much.
Subtle things, but big ones. All right, so Nilkant, I'll move over to you. We've been following each other's work for some time now, and I look to you to a lot of experiences and encouragement. The first time I heard from you the word called micro entrepreneurship, and I was genuinely inquisitive. And so, if you want to talk about a little bit about micro entrepreneurship, especially from the from the women in the fishing communities and throughout your experience, anything that you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So thank you, Devlina, asking this question. This is also like in the last session we all have seen how the startup and organizations who are trying to build business struggle. When there is a sensitive institute for mentoring available, when there is some funding is available, think of all the adverse situation to a women who are every day doing some business, or men doing every day without any mentoring support, without any credit support. So their life becomes much difficult. And we work in a lot of things related to the extension, and then we came to women fish vendors, working with the women fish vendor. Always we think as a women fish vendor as a last mile, supply chain delivery partner. But can we think of them as a, the word I think of it is they are the ambassador of this sector. So not the supply chain last mile delivery person, because whatever is the product is coming from a farmer's field, it is being supplied through that. Means if the quality is bad, if it is not looking good, if she doesn't know the logistic and the supply chain related other like 1090, PCM jail, all those technology, new technology. Except ice box, we don't think anything for those, women fish vendor. And their life start, if you look at the Mumbai, this Kulava fish market or any place, the life start at 3 a.m. in the morning. That time there is no nighttime traffic, but how they reaches there? If you track back their life, like at night 2 to 3 they start traveling, reaches market, and then the rush in the market, the safety, security, everything, the bargaining, and then coming back with those things to the market and then selling. And in the local buses, train, no one allows with those fishes. You have to hire an auto or something. It's totally different, and it's not a one-day task. It's 365 days task. If you look at that from that perspective, it looks like working in an office is much a better option than doing this business. And still they are continuing. So what are their pain points? So we thought, let's forget we are a startup or something. Let's think of we are a aspirin. So what pain point we can relieve for those women fish vendor? And then the idea of microcredit came as a lending platform where immediately they can get lending as a run day platform. Then this 1090 solution where they can, their burden on getting ice every day is relieved. So packaging related technology, that is also came up. So all those things, still there is no one set of solution, because the challenge of Mumbai market is totally different from the Bihar or the Orissa. Like last 2 weeks ago, we were in the Chilka Lake, and then the problem of Chilka Lake was totally different than the Bihar. But opportunity is there. So that is what we are trying to address. It's still a long way to go, but yeah, thinking them as an entrepreneur and working for their capacity building, their financial literacy development, all those things are also an ingredient in this food plate. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilkant. Financial inclusivity in fisheries, there's a 67% trade gap in fisheries, but surprisingly for women fishermen, the they have a much higher credibility because they tend to complete their loans in time compared to fishermen. So there are some studies there that we can definitely, lean on. Moving on to Tanmay. Tanmay, we look to you and Aviram sir for seaweed cultivation. You're the pioneers of seaweed cultivation, and there are a lot of women involvement in your farms, and for many years now. So, but going beyond that, I mean, the scalability of your solution beyond the current operations, what do you think will be the pillars for those, and where do you see yourself with every nothing left behind? I mean, where do you really see yourself, and what do you think will be the enabling pieces there?
No, I think there's some very, very good examples which have been talked about. I think one, Dr. Krishna pointed out about the government schemes, and there's a lot of enabling schemes by the government. And I recently now, because of the relationship with IFCO, we are a profitable company, so we have the ability to do some CSR work. So we actually did a survey for 2 months in the villages where the women reside, to see what can we do beyond seaweed for betterment of their lives. So one thing which ma'am pointed out is the schemes they don't understand. In fact, I don't understand a lot of times. So they have to be simplified and explained. And they asked if you can appoint a coordinator who can come explain us the schemes and help us with the applications, because there's a lot of very good things happening from the support side from the government, but they also need hand-holding to actually go and claim those schemes and derive the benefit that the government is giving. That was one example. I think you just said something about what happens. I think we've seen in seaweed, fortunately, it has been dominated by women throughout. And the moment the money goes in hands of women, the savings are higher, the money is spent very, very rationally on savings, education, better house, marriages, and there is still saving left end of the day. And when it goes into a man's hands, unfortunately, it's drunk away, at least in our Tamil Nadu story. So it's really heartening to see. And like the example you gave, and you struggled, we had the same struggle. In our factory, we had to the women had to actually buy, if I can say very, very crudely, a quarter every day for their husbands to be allowed to come to work. And we finally broke it. It took 4 years, but we finally broke it. And now they're independent. And it's a magical thing when women are the house controllers. Kerala is an example. And I think seaweed is one of those platforms where it's possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, I move on to Shobna. Shobna, you're a deep tech company. You're a marine deep tech company. Would love to know more. But talk a little bit about the perspectives of how that tech is enabling women in the fishery sector, in the marine sector, in the coastal sector to be large. You're on mute. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Before going ahead with the question, I would like to kind of give you a brief about our company, like why we started basically. Okay, so because this has to be discussed in this right platform, I would say. Okay, so when I started the research in the year of 2015, basically I'm a software engineer. So I just started with my education basically. So one of my colleagues is basically a network administrator. He was into a fishing community. So when we had a get together during the Diwali festival, right, he was literally sitting upstairs and was crying. So we asked him like what is the issue is. And finally we found that like he lost his complete family during the tsunami. As well as like before that Diwali, like he also lost his uncle. Here the pain point is, he doesn't know whether the person is alive or not. So this is where we thought of getting some spark, like why don't we do something in a way to find the safety for the life. So what's more precious than life itself, right? So this is what the mindset that we have. So we literally went to different countries for doing the kind of research basically. So when we start doing kind of brainstorming particularly for this section, we don't find any kind of technology in place till data. So what happened is after that only we thought of doing kind of in a better solution by our own, by incorporating few models from different countries. So now we got approximately 17 IPs in our company with the different varied products which are completely innovative. So So just want to share you one more thing. As we are talking about the marine industry, beyond 20 kilometers on ocean, there is no communication channel. So we are completely depending only on the satellite. But satellite is the one which is very much expensive and which can't be afforded by everyone. So we got a feeling kind of, as we are aware, the communication is more important. So what we have done is, we found a kind of technology which will create a two-way communication between the groups. Hope my voice is audible.
Yes, yes.
Alright. So from there, we also found there is a kind of loss of profitable fishing happen, especially for the fishermen, because they don't find a kind of good catch or profitable fishing. So they just lay the nets. So what will happen is they will be getting a kind of bycatch also and also overfishing. So this will definitely lead to damage of open ocean ecosystems. So to overcome this kind of problem, we have done a kind of R&D to provide a kind of underwater device along with the product that we are having. So this underwater device, what it will do is, it will give you a kind of real-time scenario like what is there in the underwater. So which will kind of give you a compliance. So we are also creating a kind of compliance. Let's say on a seasonal based only, we can give you a kind of species that needs to be caught. So that kind of circumstance that we have created. And similarly, so what happening right now is, fishermen will just lay their nets. So they will take all the fish or whatever the species comes into the net. And again, if it is unwanted, they will discard again. So what will happen is definitely leads to bycatch and overfishing. So this kind of challenges that we faced when we are getting to this particular sector. So what we have done is, we have done a comprehensive solution especially for this. And similarly, for the life safety also, we have done one thing is, let's say, this is a real-time scenario, this one. So let's say, if people are sailing in one boat, okay, preferably, most probably people will run and some will accidentally fall into the water. So now what happens is, even if it is a good swimmer, you don't have any kind of chance to rescue by himself. He will submerge completely into water and it's very, very difficult for him to come out. In that case, people in the particular boat itself doesn't know who got messed up. So this is what the reality happening right now. So according to International Labour Organization, 28,000 people are dying, and as we are aware, the fisherman life is high risk when compared to the farmer who is working on the land. So this is what makes us to do something which has to be done within the boat. This is what the concept which made us to do. And similarly, we are not dividing anything in terms of satellite. Because right now what happening is, if someone got missed from the boat, it has to go to the Coast Guard, right? By that time, they will lose the life. The Coast Guard comes to the place and it will take nearly 6 to 9 hours. By the time, they will lose the life. And people in the particular boat also doesn't know who got missed out. So this is what the scenario. And similarly, they don't have proper restroom also. So they have to go with the tires, with the contact of water. So this kind of scenarios which makes them to fall in a death. So to avoid this kind of chances, we have a kind of innovative solution for the same. So that is called Life Safety Watch. We named it as Rakshama. So this is very much useful, and these are incorporated with Aadhaar card for more authentication. Because right now talking about the
Shubhana, you're breaking up a little. Shubhana, we can't hear you much. Yeah, we lost like 2 to 3 minutes. If you can just quickly kind of wrap up last concluding statements. Sorry, we seem to have lost Shobhana. All right, so I'm very, I'm aware that we are going. We are running too late. I'll conclude this session. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for listening in. I will welcome Dr. Jaina to come up to the stage again. Thank you.
I think it is.
Yeah, any quick concluding statements if you want to give, and then we can.
No, I don't want to take time. Maybe 1 minute I would like to wrap. Yes, this session we had wonderful discussion, 3 wonderful presentation by Dr. Krishna Srinath, Dr. Merrill, and Dr. Sarika. Of course, we know the time constant. Everybody wanted to speak a little more, but 10 minutes by any standard it is less. That too followed by again panel discussion. Thanks to Dr. Devalina that you could moderate so nicely. And our 4 or 5 panelists spoke on different aspects and their experience they shared. See, a platform like this, because only 4 or 5 of them have been able to represent, they could give so much of experience. So when you talk of whole value chain, you can expect in the country maybe that you will have, if you give a platform like this to everyone, if not everyone, at least 1%, 2% of that also will have enough experience and enough example to replicate. I'm sure we'll have ample opportunity again and again. And Minister DOF, I'm sure under the leadership of Dr. Likhi Saab, we have been seeing last 6 months. This is the 4th occasion we have assembled at such a mass scale. Maybe first with again Mahabalipuram, then again Indore, then Mahabalipuram, again in Gujarat here. So 4-5 months, it is wonderful experience. Not that people say a mela, whatever you say, but these are some opportunity platform where you get opportunity to meet people, share your thought, listen to the people whom never you would have imagined to meet. For example, the platform like this, first time I am listening all the panelists, the experience on black soldier fly or experience on cooperative or seaweed, Mr. Abhiram said we have been discussing all the time. There are ample opportunity to share our experience. We need to learn, those who are in the research organization like me, we need to learn also. Not that we need to be all the time acting a role of a headmaster, telling that you should do this, you should do that. We need to learn what is desired by the sector, what is the aspiration of the people. So thanks for this platform. Dr. Nilesh is here. You take this message of ours. Congratulations to all of you. And sincere thanks on behalf of each one of us to the ministry and department for giving us this platform to share our thought. And we hope that we will have enough opportunity to discuss. If we talk on discussing, still the audience number may reduce further. So, so nothing much to share. Thank you again. Thank you again, Dr. Devalina and all the panelist members. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.